Hello and good afternoon. I'm Kanchi Chawla, Senior Sub-Editor at ELEX Technomedia, and it's my honor to welcome to you all a new episode of ELEX AI Dialogue, a conversation space where we go beyond the buzz and into the real-world impact of AI. In a world brimming with machine intelligence, some of the most inspiring breakthroughs are happening not just in the labs or data centers, but in clinics, hospitals, and even rural outreach plans. Here, AI is not just changing workflows, it's saving lives, one timely diagnosis at a time. At Elix Technomedia, we have spent over 2 decades tracking how deep tech transforms governance, finance, education, and healthcare. But what excites us most today is how AI is becoming more human aware, improving how we care and diagnose and respond to medical challenges. And as we move towards the World AI Summit, scheduled for 25th and 26th of September in Bangalore, the AI Dialogue series is our way of spotlighting those using AI not for convenience, but for compassionate, accessible, and scalable healthcare. And there's no better guest today to explore this powerful intersection of AI and early detection than Dr. Geetha Manjunath, founder CEO of NIRAMAI Healthcare Analytics. So, welcome to the ELITS AI Dialogue series, ma'am.
Yeah, thank you so much for taking me on this show.
So, a trailblazing deep tech entrepreneur, Dr. Geetha is rewriting how the world approaches breast cancer screening with a solution that's radiation free, non invasive, privacy aware, and driven by cutting edge AI. With a PhD from IISc, global experience at Xerox and XP Labs, 50 plus US patents, and recognition among Forbes India's top 20 self made women, her story is as inspiring as it is impactful. At NIRAMAI, she has built Thermalytix, an AI-powered platform that is 30% more accurate and 80% more cost-effective than conventional mammography, enabling early detection in both urban hospitals and the most underserved rural corners of the world. And today, NIRAMAI's technology is being used in 22 countries, setting a new global standard for scalable, responsible, equitable healthcare diagnosis. So I once again welcome you to the ELATE's AI Dialogue series, ma'am. We are pleased to host you on this series.
Thank you so much. Really, really appreciate the opportunity.
So let's begin with your journey. So what inspired you to transition from a computer scientist and AI researcher to an entrepreneur solving real world healthcare challenges with Niramai?
Yeah, so once again, thank you for having me on this show. And it's a pleasure to address all of the enthusiastic AI crowd of India and beyond. So I was basically a lab director heading one of the AI labs of Xerox globally. And we were calling it data analytics at the time. And uh, I was addressing, along with my team, wonderful problems of both emerging markets and the developed world using AI-based solutions, AI first solutions, as we call it now. Everything was going well. And then suddenly, one day, I came to know that one of my close cousin sisters, Bharti, got detected with breast cancer. She was detected late stage. And of course, multiple treatment modalities were employed, but she couldn't survive beyond a year. That was a major trigger for me to start reading about breast cancer because I really saw at very, very close quarters how breast cancer can, dismantle a family, create a havoc in the economic, social, and all other emotional aspects of a family. And so I started a project within my organization to start looking at this problem as a whole. Then, like fortune would have, I had a second instance in the family where again a 32-year-old was detected late and she succumbed to it as well. So, with that, I decided that this problem is too important for me to just keep doing whatever I was doing in life. And so I quit my job and started Niramai. It is now 8 years since we started, And I'm very glad to let you know that we are one of the most awarded startups. And in fact, recently, World Economic Forum tagged our company as technology pioneers, top 20 technology pioneers of the world. It's really, really great to represent India on this technology pioneer list.
Well, more power to you, and really a good initiative towards this, challenge which mostly most of the women are facing these days. So, like you are one of the few women who is leading a deep tech AI startup in India. So, what have been your key experiences, like both opportunities and challenges, and what advice would you give to the young women aspiring to lead in AI?
Yeah, so basically, leading a deep tech innovation, especially out of India itself, is challenging enough because India has not produced too many deep tech startups, as has been a major debate in the last few months as well, right? And so, trying to make sure that we are able to communicate to the investors the value that we can bring in future, the confidence in the investors that even as a women founder, we will be able to deliver the projections that we give, and also especially running it out of India, giving confidence to the rest of the world that an Indian company can actually create breakthroughs in the world, using technology enabled solution. So all of these have its own additional challenges of building the trust in the company and in the founder, I would say, so that they can invest their bets on us, right? So that's, I think, the main challenge that we have. And being a woman, it just makes it more difficult because there's always an implicit bias of it, especially when an innovation is coming from India, what we call as reverse innovation. Especially when you're trying to do something like this, creating a breakthrough in breast cancer screening, when no one else in this world has done it, right? If there's somebody else in the US who's developed it, somebody else in Europe who has developed it, and then we're trying to build a more affordable solution, then it would be a different ball game altogether. But if you are the first of its kind, a technology leader, category leader, uh, as well, with a lot of patents and so on and so forth, yeah, so that there's this sort of building the trust becomes more and more. You need more and more evidences, more and more proof points. If a particular startup which is trying to do a similar thing like another US startup is good enough to have two publications, I have to have 50 publications to get the same kind of reputation or acceptance outside India, for example. So these kind of things, the ask is doubled or tripled to show the proof points, right? And so that's sort of the main challenge, with the same kind of funding, etc. I would say that's the biggest. As a women entrepreneur, generally, I'm not in the category of saying women versus male. Honestly, from the beginning, be it as a technology leader or a lab director, or generally as inside the corporate or outside. But yes, there are certain limitations given that there are fewer number of female entrepreneurs. Just becoming as pally with the fellow entrepreneurs would be a little bit more limited. Typically, it requires a person to go out of the way, right? To actually reach out to other entrepreneurs to understand how they have solved a problem and learn from each other, essentially around the networking, as we call it, right? So that's a little bit of a challenge. But what I would say to women entrepreneurs, if you want to address them, is that forget your gender. Just focus on the problem, because we all want to solve a real important problem, and problem should be in front of you, and rest will align, right? If you keep on saying, oh, I'm a lady, and forget that. Just go, put your 100%, and rest will align itself. That's what I would mention to my fellow colleagues there. It's also important to be a little bit more proactive in reaching out for networking, because it's possible, especially in India, it's possible that male colleagues may feel little hesitant to come in and talk to you if you are in a conference, or a networking event where there are only less than 10% of ladies, but rest are all male, right? So then you have to do this, put this extra effort to go out and reach out, and even if it's a group of 5 to 10 male who are talking, just go in and say hello, can I come in? It requires a little bit more energy from our side to do it. Hesitation has to be removed and all. I think that's important. The last one is always we tend to doubt our capabilities, more than other genders. So I would say be confident about what you know, and it's okay not to know everything because everyone cannot know everything. The ecosystem is pretty friendly. Do your homework and ask for help. Don't hesitate to do that, and success will be on your track. Yeah.
Yeah, truly said that. So let's talk about Thermalytix. So could you like walk us through your how like your AI-based breast cancer screening works and how it differs from traditional diagnostics methods like mammography?
Sure. So, if I look at the overall context of breast cancer screening in India or low and middle income countries, right? LMIC as we call them, breast cancer is the top killer. More than 50% of women who are detected with breast cancer are dying with a mortality rate, of 50%, which is unfortunate because breast cancer is completely curable. Nobody needs to die of breast cancer. The only reason people are dying in these areas and countries is because of late detection. There's no awareness, and even if there is awareness, they're thinking that unless there is a big lump, there's no need to go to the hospital. So that's the sort of the basic context with which all of us come in, which means that women are not proactively doing what is called a screening, that is not waiting for symptoms but going and doing the testing regularly, annually if possible, right? They're not doing it. If you look at the statistics, if in US and UK the screening rates are 75% or above, in India it is 1.3%. In low and middle income countries it's 2.2% average. This is pathetic because 98 to 99% of women are detecting their cancer by hand. It's crazy, right? So we need to make sure that there is a way of performing the screening. So, so what are the gaps of mammography, which is enabling only 1.3% of Indian women to do the screening? The gaps are really that affordability and accessibility. It's very expensive to pay up and so on and so forth, not just for the end lady who wants to get the screening, but also for a diagnostic center that's there in a tier two or even a tier one city to actually buy an equipment, employ a person to operate the equipment, interpret the images, such as the radiologist skill is also much lower compared to the rest of the world. And so this becomes a major issue. In addition, many of the Asian and African women have high density breasts where mammogram has low accuracy. And also women under 45. In India, the mean age for detection of breast cancer is less than 10 years, less than the rest of the world. So, which means that younger women are getting detected with breast cancer. And so there is no test for detecting. So essentially, every lady has to undergo both mammogram and ultrasound to detect their cancer. All of this adds additional hurdles and barriers to adoption of mammography as a screening modality. It's a great modality for diagnostics, right? When you have a lump or somebody has been found as a high risk, it's great to go for a mammogram or an ultrasound. But as a screening modality, a modality or a test that everyone needs to undergo, it is not really as acceptable or suitable for the low and middle income countries, as even opined by WHO. It's not my own, perception. So, what we need is really an affordable, accessible method of detecting breast cancer, which works for even younger women, because young women can be detected with breast cancer in India, for example. So that is what we have developed. We have come up with a new method of detecting breast cancer where we just measure the temperature variations on the chest using a thermal sensor or infrared imaging device and convert the temperature map to a cancer health report automatically using artificial intelligence algorithms, right? So this is what we call as thermal analytics or thermalytics, where a simple kiosk kind of a thing or a changing room kind of a model is built. The lady enters, she closes all doors and curtains, she removes her clothes and she sits in front of the device which is placed 3 feet from the person. It's like passport photograph session. And then cool air is blown 5 minutes or so that we can create stabilization on the skin, and 5 images are taken with a rotating stool like this, and that's about it. These 5 images are uploaded to our cloud. Click, 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 out comes a report with quantitative scores indicating the level of abnormality, with a red, yellow, green to instruct the health worker or a technician on the next possible action. And then, of course, also marking the area of likely malignancy so that we know the follow-up diagnostic workup can be more, informed, right? Now, the best part is in this process, nobody, not even a technician, has seen the person without clothes. No touch, no pain, no radiation. So this is a very, very private, dignified experience of doing a breast cancer screening, doing it at, as you also mentioned, 10 to 20% of the cost of the current methods, including both the capex and the opex, and then doing it in a radiation-free manner for women of all age groups. We found a 17-year-old cancer as well as a 92-year-old. So age is not a bar. In fact, even men can do the screening with this. So this is what we've been able to achieve. And the best part is it's extremely portable. You can put it in a backpack, take it out onto the screening in rural areas, in villages, and as well as in corporate offices, getting into a conference room like this and conducting a screening like camp for the whole day for women of every enterprise is also very, very feasible. This enables us to, take the screening to the people wherever they are, at whatever time frame, and without radiation, and so completely safe. So that is what we have developed today, and it's extremely unique, made in India product now used in 20 plus countries. So I'm very, very proud Indian being the founder of the company.
Yeah, and truly, like listening to you, like the technology in India, like, and it is helping out women. So, yes, of course, you must be feeling a proud Indian, but listening to you, I am feeling proud that
So
India, like, they are having that technology. So it was such a nice message, nice thing to have. So we have seen like Thermalytix, like it offers 30% higher accuracy and 80% lower cost also than mammograms. So as AI models evolve, what improvements are you exploring to make the diagnostic performance even better?
yeah. So just to sort of bring a color into the numbers you mentioned. So mammography is great as a diagnostic modality. What we are talking about is the screening sensitivity is definitely higher because of the dense breast issue, right? Mammography doesn't work on dense breast because white on white, because mammogram is an X-ray. And if you take an X-ray of the dense breast, you're not able to see the white tissue, right? The white lesion on the white breast. So that's the problem. And that's the reason why we have better accuracy or sensitivity even in dense tissue compared to a single modality like mammogram. But of course, when we compare with mammogram plus ultrasound, we are equal performance at this point in time. Now, in terms of AI models itself, long ago, when we started 6 years ago, maybe 7 years ago, if I remember, the accuracy it was around 70% or so, right? Where we had a smaller data set because there's no, if you go on the web and start looking for thermal images, there's not a great data set with good labeling, etc. So we had to create our own training data set by not just asking doctors whether there's an abnormality or not in the image, like usually it is done in a medical image scenario. We had to do for the same person, take the thermal image and perform other standard tests like mammogram, ultrasound, and even biopsy for a positive patient to actually gain even a label for the training set. So it has been really, really detailed training, golden training set, I would say, which has made a huge difference in the accuracy over time. Furthermore, when we actually do different clinical testings and figure out if there are any false negatives, false positives, we add it back. There is a retraining cycle that happens every now and then, depending on how many false positive, false negatives we see in different contexts. And so this essentially is like, as you know, right, a doctor learning on the job, right? Now the only thing is that the computer, the AI models are running on very, very super, strength, super strong computers, much faster and so on, and they're able to also learn from a large amount of data that we are able to put in. Now we have 1.5 million thermal data points today, as well as parallel tests that we have done in several studies, which help us aid and get the best out of the both the domain knowledge that exists today in the medical community, as well as the statistical data that we have. So the methods that we use many different techniques which enable this data and domain information to come together. So that's another big AI approach that we're using to have a better algorithm over time. And also, of course, as researchers, we continue to improvise on domain-based features, improvise on the, let's say, deep learning stack that we use for certain abnormalities or certain features that we extract. We've, in fact, come out with new aspects of new biomarkers itself, I can say, called thermal biomarkers or thermal radiomics and vascular biomarkers. These are the two main signals of breast cancer, and we are able to come up with semantic biomarkers to capture these signals that are coming out of our, the infrared rays that are coming out of our body. So, so multiple innovation aspects in addition to the, better training set and better AI models have made us really improve on our accuracy over the last few years. And now we're very confident to actually even address beyond India, right? Because the ethnical variations, fortunately, are not seen at the tissue level, right? It is seen only it's an external covering, looks like, the tissues behave the same way. So it is very interesting observation we've seen, because we've done studies in Europe, Africa, and also in the US, beyond India. So which is given us a very good confidence about the AI algorithms and the non-bias that we have introduced due to this approach of data plus domain information that's going in.
Hmm. So this technology, like it is being used across like 22 countries, if I'm not wrong. So
Yes.
what were some of the challenges in scaling AI models for like different geographies and populations, especially in terms of data diversity and regulatory validation?
I think first and foremost challenge is finding a partner who is willing to test this out. Uh, Given that we don't have like a big bucket of funding to do all of these studies, unlike many pharma, right? So how do we find an investigator-led study? That is, how do you find an investigator who can do an investigator-led study for this, so that the costs come down and we can do that, right? From a technical perspective, I think many of us, we can solve the problem technically. I think the issues are mainly in the in finding the right partnerships, and also getting the right business models, and of course right go to market channel partners, right? So from particularly when we look at these external, that is countries outside India, finding this partner, right, clinical partner to conduct that study, to get confidence for ourselves that it actually works on this demography. The new demography is one from a technical and product perspective. Secondly, the standard of care in these countries may be very different. For example, we go to Sweden, we go to UK, we go to US. The standard of care is 3D mammogram, and here we don't. In India, we don't find so many, many hospitals with 3D. Usually, 2D mammogram is considered standard enough. For example, right? So the bar of comparison itself is very different there, right? So that also, of course, requires us to do better in the accuracy, sensitivity, and specificity as we move along. Thirdly, we also don't know too much about the context of the pricing, the reimbursement, essentially who pays for the test, and what are the sort of the costs involved, and so on. So getting to understand the business context of the product with right kind of partnerships again is also a challenge, especially when you're sort of spreading wide. So I guess once we have all of this, we need to figure out the right price points, right? Because again, it's first of its kind. If there is another test provided in the same country, I would say, yeah, I will charge maybe $1 less. It's not that way, right? Whatever pricing we set is new, is first time, right? So that also has its own challenges, and we can't give the same pricing across different countries. So we have to innovate and learn, experiment and learn in all these factors and forums, and also collections. So we actually have better collections from international customers than India, because we insist on a fully prepaid mode, which seems to work, and we usually work with a local distribution partner, which helps us to understand all the parameters that I mentioned. And last but the most important is the regulatory constraints in every country, right? Because we know US FDA for US, Kenya may have a different regulatory body called Poison board. Then Philippines has its own, Singapore has its own, Europe, of course, thankfully for all countries it is CE mark, and so on and so forth. So this is something to understand. And your medical device, especially for healthcare perspective, needs to be categorized in the right class, we would say, based on the intended use of the device in the country. You have to say, okay, whether it belongs to class A, B, C, D, or class 2A. So there are different classes. So we need to identify. So there is some repetition for every country, a small amount, because the most of the base work will be the same, but there is considerable customization that we need to do for the country, even after understanding the business and the technical aspects more clearly. But it's nice. It's nice to learn, and especially if you take the hat of making India product going there, even if there are some hurdles, you feel like climbing it more because you really want to put the India flag there.
Yeah. So, what's next for Niramai? Are you exploring new disease areas, geographies, or partnerships to further amplify your impact?
All the three. So, for example, definitely we even now I would use this platform to call for partnerships in India and outside India, because we really want to work with in a collaborative manner with other medical device distributors or hospitals or NGOs or insurance or pharma, to take this solution to every lady on earth. Secondly, yes, we are planning to export to other countries as well. But more importantly, from a product portfolio perspective, what we've been able to understand through some of the grants that we received from Bill and Melinda Gates, etc., is that this technology is not just limited to breast cancer. It can actually be potentially used for other type of cancers, other type of abnormalities in the body, which is super exciting, because probably we are sitting on a gold mine of trying to figure out a new way of detecting abnormalities in the body. And
Hmm.
that's the direction. Of course, we cannot and we do not want to do it alone. Again, we want to create a platform, and we have done that already to export the vascular and thermal radiomics features that we have come in, and we invite again medical device manufacturers to partner with us to co-develop these different medical devices for different type of indications or diseases, if you want to call it that way, different cancers or different vascular diseases, etc. So that's the new one, which is a platform for other type of abnormalities. So we're just getting started on some of the clinicals of it, but super exciting to see how AI can really make a difference to the lives of so many people. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's an exciting era for all of us to be in.
Yeah, true. So, what an incredible conversation, like truly candid. So, thank you so much for sharing your bold journey with us from AI research labs to rural clinics and showing us what it means to build with both precision and purpose. So, your work at Niramai is, a shining example of how responsible AI can not only empower healthcare professionals but also democratize access to early life-serving diagnostics at scale. So thank you so much. And before we wrap up, do you have any final message you would like to share with our viewers, especially with the AI researchers, entrepreneurs, and health innovators tuning in today?
Yeah, thank you for that opportunity. And one thing I want to tell all the AI developers is that keep the end user in mind, especially whenever you're developing AI models, particular for healthcare. I would say that it's extremely critical to have the right context for doing your training, context for doing your testing, as in like announcing results. The clinical validation is extremely critical. Clinical validation is extremely critical, and doing it in the right context. What I mean by is you can do a retrospective study or a prospective study. If you actually put yourself in the shoe of the end user, because you're
Mhm.
affecting the health of a person. So
Yeah.
please make sure that whatever decision you take, whatever validation you do, is super super important for your product. Don't do any shortcuts in it. That's something, I keep on saying that there is no shortcut. And clinical validation is super super important. Yeah, so that's mostly what I want to share, and it's very exciting to be on this platform once again.
Vice versa. Thank you so much for joining us. It was a pleasure having you with us. And to all our viewers, thank you for joining us on this edition of ELET's AI Dialogue. As we gear up for the World AI Summit on 25th and 26th of September in Bangalore, this is just a preview of the thought leaders and innovators who are shaping the AI future. Stay tuned with us as we continue to spotlight more stories where algorithms meet empathy and innovation meets impact. Until next time, stay curious, stay inspired, and keep engaging with AI that truly matters. Thank you and see you in the next episode.